What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show where we discuss the fourth stimulus package update, stimulus check update, and daily news. Everything going on here in our country, in Washington, D.C., and everything you need to know about money, investing, the stock market, everything going on here in our country. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, make sure to click the subscribe button down below. It's completely free to do so. Remember that new videos come out here on our YouTube channel every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's completely free to subscribe. All you got to do is click the subscribe button down below. And don't forget to hit the like button for us down below. We got a lot to talk about here. President Biden says there is more money coming. You'll hear it directly from him. Also, we have a major announcement from Pfizer and from the Pentagon. We got a lot to talk about here, so let's jump right in. Here we go. Pfizer says that their vaccine for the virus for children under 5 could be available this month at the end of February. They will be seeking the emergency use authorization from the FDA this month, according to new reports. Pfizer and BioNTech are reportedly close to submitting a request for emergency use authorization for the virus vaccine that can be administered to children under the age of 5. Sources familiar with the matter told the Washington Post that the companies are expected to submit an emergency use authorization request for their 2-dose vaccine to the FDA as early as Tuesday, potentially allowing for the vaccine to be available by the end of this month, February. According to sources who spoke with the Post, the FDA urged the companies to submit their requests so that regulators could review the data on the vaccine. Quote, the idea is let's go ahead and start the review of the 2 doses. One source who asked to remain anonymous told the newspaper, if the data holds up in the submission, you could start kids on their primary baseline months earlier than if you don't do anything until the 3rd dose data comes in. Wow. A Biden administration official told the Post that there was a consensus among health officials in seeing this move forward, speaking on the company's plan on submitting their request. Currently, Pfizer's vaccine is the only shot approved for children as young as age 5 in the U.S. Pediatric vaccinations have remained kind of low. As of mid-January, around 28% of children aged 5 to 11 are at least partially vaccinated, according to the Kaiser Family Foundation. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments. Next up, a statement from the Pentagon on the Russia situation.
Let me first say that, as the Secretary said up front, right now we don't think final decisions have been made to conduct any sort of offensive operation into Ukraine by the Russians, and we firmly believe there's still room for a diplomatic outcome here. Having said that, given the type of forces that are arrayed, the ground maneuver forces, the artillery, the ballistic missiles, the air forces, all of it packaged together, if that was unleashed on Ukraine, it would be significant, very significant, and it would result in a significant amount of casualties. And you can imagine what that might look like in dense urban areas, along roads and so on and so forth. It would be horrific. It would be terrible. And it's not necessary, and we think a diplomatic outcome is the way to go here.
Meanwhile, the U.S. is readying sanctions, and the Senate is considering this in the House of Representatives on Russia in the event that they invade Ukraine, including specific individuals. Check this out. The Biden administration is readying sanctions on Russians with links to the Kremlin that would be triggered if Russian President Vladimir Putin invades Ukraine. The administration has identified Russians who are in or near the inner circles of the Kremlin and play a role in the government decision making or are at a minimum complicit in the Kremlin's destabilizing behavior, a senior Biden administration official said on Monday. The administration is preparing to block assets of these individuals and members of their families in the event of a renewed Russian invasion of Ukraine. The official did not provide names of those who would be subject to sanctions, but said the list is, quote, broad and draws in part from a classified report from the Treasury Department submitted to Congress in 2018 under the Trump administration as required by a 2017 sanctions law. The report named senior Russian government officials, political leaders, and oligarchs. The sanctions would be imposed under an executive order that Biden signed in April. Quote, many of these individuals are particularly vulnerable targets because of their deepened financial ties with the West, the senior Biden administration official said. Quote, sanctions would cut them off from international financial systems and ensure that they and their family members will no longer be able to enjoy the perks of parking their money in the West and attending elite Western universities. The Biden administration also threatened to impose export controls that would prevent Russia from gaining access to key U.S. technologies, a move that officials say would hurt Moscow in key sectors like artificial intelligence, defense, and aviation. The U.S. is also reportedly preparing sanctions hitting Russian financial institutions, including banks, but the administration has not laid out the full scope of what penalties Russia would face. The senior administration official said Monday that all options remain on the table. There was a speculation previously that they literally could cut off money supplies to Russia on inflowing money and potentially even outflowing money from the rest of the world. This could be a possibility. So let me know your thoughts on this. Do you think this will deter from Russia from moving into Ukraine? Yeah, let me know your thoughts on this. What do you think is going to happen here? Do you think that this imposes a severe enough threat to Russia, or do you think they'll just ignore it and do what they will and say, to hell with it? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Next up is President Biden saying more money is coming and several different things here. There's actually a lot he says here in this speech. Check this out.
Governors, it's a pleasure to have you all here. And I'm glad you're having an opportunity, and my cabinet and overall team is getting a chance to meet you all, know you personally, and engage with you on the great concern that you have. You know, I had a chance to hear from several leaders of my administration this morning, including former governors. If you notice, I hired a lot of governors and mayors because they know how to get things done. And you have two governors sitting to my left here who are taking on major responsibilities. I remember when we were out on the trail, Governor Vilsack telling me that the first industry in the world is going to have net zero emissions is going to be agriculture. And he was right. At the time, it was a fairly novel idea, but a lot of you picked it up and moved beyond. And I know that, look, the American Rescue Plan was a lot of money, and it was designed to make sure we could carry the nation forward in dealing with vaccines, boosters, creating jobs, and keeping schools open, and a number of other things. And Gov, you said, send you money. We have. We've sent you a whole hell of a lot of money. And we're going to send you more. You keep using it as well as you have. And we're talking about the ability to really, the way I look at it, and I mean this sincerely, and I've said it last night in a more casual way, we are at an inflection point, and we have an opportunity. America is one of those nations, I think the only nation, that's come out of every crisis stronger than it went into the crisis. And it's not hyperbole. We've had a crisis, we've come out, we've been stronger. And I think that's where we are again. And I think we have a chance to sort of restate and reassert our world leadership on a whole range of issues and lead the world on everything from the environment to dealing with the issues of immigration, a whole range of issues, Gov. And And but the American Rescue Plan gives us the resources to do many of those things. And, there's a lot of challenges out there that we're not even talking to directly today. There's so many, but the surge of gun violence since the start of this pandemic. I made it clear we should use these funds to combat violent crime as well, including hiring additional police officers and investing in community violence interventions and improving the work in communities. And I know you're making those investments in Michigan. I know you're making those investments in New Jersey. You're making those investments in Ohio. A lot of you are making them all over the country. Another one of the national challenges, we need to bring back workers to better jobs with better pay and better working conditions than the ones that they left. The American Rescue Plan, there was a major part was $350 billion to allocate to your states and local budgets, as well as funds for school and for child care. And we know the difference this has made in jobs. Last year, we had the greatest job growth in American history. And as part of that, state and local jobs grew by 464,000, the most in 20 years. And Governor of Hawaii, you've talked about the 10,000 state workers that you're able to keep on the job thanks to the American Rescue Plan. I'm not sure where you're sitting, but at any rate, there you are, Gov. Sorry. And I know that the education funds help many of you stay open, keep your schools open, and keep them open safely. There's a lot of money you have there for everything from dealing with ventilation to cleaning school buses and everything in between. There's no reason why we can't keep our schools open, in my view. And getting kids to school was an essential step getting our economy back to normal. We're not quite there yet, but we also know that if people find they can afford childcare, they get back to work as well. I think we're going to be coming back to you. There's one reason why there's 1.2 million women who were working who are not in the job market now, because it's hard to get back, and the combination of worrying about the school open as well as whether or not there's the cost of child care. In 43 of your states, you've already gotten relief with 150,000 child care providers to help many of them keep their doors open and at a critical time, the actual physical facilities. And now we need to do even more to get Americans, keep them at work and the essential workers on the job. And that can mean, as some of you used, with hero retention bonuses, higher pay, temporary paid leave to combat burnout and essential health care workers like Delaware, Illinois, Kansas, Maine, Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, and Pennsylvania have all announced. It can mean paid leave, as it's being done in the state of Washington.
So President Biden mentions that more money is going to be coming. We'll see what he has in store there, what he has in plans there. Let me know your thoughts. He also mentions that states that have mentioned hero bonuses, basically, and also sent out more money, aka stimulus checks and stimulus programs. We're going to see a lot more of that here in 2022. Remember that all the states got over $1 billion in 2021, and all the states have not spent that money. It'll be interesting to see. I just did a video with about like 10 or so different states that are either going to be sending out more money here in 2022 or are considering it, or are going to be having more money come out here in 2022 as well. I'll link it to that video if you haven't seen that yet. But I think that even with the addition of those states, there's going to be even more states coming out here in 2022 with more stimulus checks on the state level as well, as 2022 rolls on here. So it'll be interesting to see how many more states give back to their residents in the form of tax rebates or stimulus checks, which is basically the same thing. Remember that a stimulus check, the actual official name for it, is actually a tax rebate. Remember, a stimulus check from the federal government is technically a tax rebate. I know it's just kind of like it's an economic impact payment or a tax rebate, even if you're not a tax filer from the federal government. Remember, that's why they have that non-filer form. But yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of different states send out state stimulus checks here in 2022 as well. And those can go as high as, we had one state just announced it's going to be $850. And remember that California's can go as high as $1,100. So some of these states can actually be as high as some of the federal government's stimulus checks in some cases. So it's pretty interesting.
as it's being done in the state of Washington. But keep schools open, to keep kids in school, to make up for learning losses. We need to bring back more teachers, more tutors, bus drivers, school nurses, and we're seeing creative efforts in North Carolina, for example, which is providing bonuses for all school employees in Arkansas, as you know, Gov, which is creating a tutoring corps. And we're seeing in states like Kansas, New Jersey, and Nevada using funds to expand the pool of counselors and mental health care workers in our schools, which are badly needed, in my view. And already 27 states have announced they're using over $14 billion in the American Rescue Plan funds to get a head start on rebuilding our nation's infrastructure. As you said, Gov, you know how to build roads and bridges. Well, we got a hell of a lot to build, and we're gonna build a bunch of them, and also clean water and ports and a whole range of things. We have a lot of opportunity to build back a lot better. And I think it's really important, it's equally important to make sure we have well-trained and diverse workforce ready to fill the jobs and careers that our infrastructure law is going to help open up wide. And that means using the rescue plan funds to support union-based apprenticeships, community college partnerships, on-the-job training in key areas like advanced manufacturing and clean energy, which some of you are doing, and construction. And we're seeing states like Wisconsin, Colorado, Connecticut, North Carolina, Maine, Massachusetts, all doing that already. We have dozens of examples of how important the creative work that is underway is resulting, and we're providing a hell of a lot more flexibility that you all required. I think we've done that. If you haven't, I'd like to hear it today. If you don't have enough flexibility, it's good work you're doing. It's a good start, and we need you to do even more to retain, train, and hire workers we need to serve our people and expand our economy. And so because of this is a chance for us to not only come together and get through this pandemic, it's a chance for us to come through it stronger and ready to build on our progress and deal more Americans in and win the competition of the future. We are doing better than any nation, any major nation in the world. We've got to keep that, we've got to pick it up. And I can think of no better group of people to pick it up with. It takes state leaders, federal business, labor. I've never seen as much cooperation that is across the board. There's differences, I know, but there's been a hell of a lot of cooperation across the board, including business and labor, pulling together, accelerating efforts, and trying to do a lot more to make sure we get out of this hole. And so I want to thank you all for being here. And
So let me know your thoughts on everything. I'll keep you up to date with everything going on here in our country and stimulus related. Make sure to subscribe down below if you haven't yet. It's completely free to do so. New videos come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Click the bell icon next to the subscribe button to get reminders when we go live. You can also click the share button down below to share this video with your friends and family. Share this video on Facebook so everybody can join our community as well. You can click this video here to watch my newest video next. Or you can click this video to see how there's $800 billion in stimulus money left and what they can do with it. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks, guys, and I will see you in the next video.